Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
We again take this another opportunity, a blessing to be here once again. Stand before you with the beautiful, appropriate Sunday school lesson this morning. We realize that we only a few days away from the real reason for the season. Just a few days. A good lesson this morning. International honor for the King of the world. Printed text, Matthew 2, 7 through 15. King James Version reads as following. Then Herod, when he had privily called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, Go and search diligently for the young child. And when ye have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him also. When they had heard the king, they departed. And lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceedingly great joy. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. And being warned of God in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed unto their own country another way. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word, for Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night, and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt have I called my son. That's our printed text. We ask Mr. Parrish to do the introduction, if you don't mind.
Morning, class.
Good morning.
Amen. Intro. We are in the season of Advent. In this season, we celebrate the birth of Christ our King. We also anticipate his return. Advent is thus a season of preparation. In this lesson, we receive a virtual checklist of what it looks like to respond to the call of Christ in a worshipful way. It should be noted that Maggie of this text were not necessarily three people as many of the popular season songs and images imply. Maggie's is the wise men. The tradition there were three wise men is attributed to the three gifts they bought, one from each person presumably. The scripture is silent on the total number of Maggie. However, what we can know about them is important. To begin, they represented an ethnically diverse group of people. They symbolize that rightly responding to Christ is a multicultural, multi-ethnic, an obligation that transcends all cultures. Indeed, Christ is Lord of all. Through the response and worship of these truly wise men, we learn what we are called to as a right response to Christ in our lives. We should do all we can to find and worship the Lord.
Amen. Thank Mr. Parrish for the introduction. You know, it's quite amazing. As I studied this, I missed that word. You just brought it out to me. Maggie. Wise men. I missed that. That's why when we come in here, we can all learn. We can all learn. It's not, that got by me, Vern. Magi, wise men. Magi. So maybe, yeah. This lesson is about those wise men. How God used them. How he used them. They were pagan men. They were pagan. You can say in a sense, they weren't spiritual men, they were pagan. That's why it's so beautiful how God can use what he want to use. How he want to use it. Luke's gospel focuses on the shepherds anticipate Jesus, later emphasis in the poor and outcasts. Example, Matthew's story of the wise men shows how Christ's life and death will reach far beyond the borders of Israel to bring salvation to people of many races and nationalities. That's what he's about. That's what Christ is about. Bring salvation. Not the white folks, not the black folks, but to all people.
All right. All right.
To all people. It's unfortunate the world misses that.
Yeah.
The world misses that. Taken together, the two gospels underscores a key feature of Christ's ministry, reaching across borders to bring salvation to all. John 3:16 through 18. Our first verse, going west. Now when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem. You see, Bethlehem is about 6 miles south of Jerusalem. It's the site of many important events that Jewish authorities likely remembered. While Bethlehem was a small village in Jesus' time, it was the place where Jacob's wife, Rachel, mother of 2 of the 12 patriarchs, were offsprings of the 12 tribes of Israel. You see, Herod was installed as king of Judea by Rome in about 38 BC. While powerful, Herod was never popular with traditional Jews. Wasn't popular, Pastor,
Right.
but he was powerful. Herod was powerful. And while the precise origin of the wise men is unknown, they are clearly portrayed as Gentiles, in other words, non-Jews. In ancient paganism, wise men were considered experts in discerning the will of the gods and divining the future. This was accomplished through observation of various elements of nature, such as the stars, weather patterns, and the behavior of animals. In other words, they were wise in that essence. They were wise in that essence. You see, the East here refers to Babylon or Persia, which had been home to a large number of Jews since the Babylonian exile. Then verse 2, the star, saying, where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, and are come to worship him. You see, this is the first time in Matthew's gospel that Jesus is referred to as King of the Jews. This title is a glimpse of Jesus' trial before Pilate, torture, and execution. 27:11, Matthew. You know, Pilate asked him a question, Pastor, about his title, King of the Jews. Jesus didn't deny it. He just said to him, thou sayest. In other words, you know. You know. You see, the wise men witnessed an unusual phenomenon, astronomical phenomenon. The law of Moses clearly forbids the occult practices in which the wise men were experts. Still, God communicated with these pagan astrologers in terms they could understand. Since the wise men saw wisdom in the stars, God chose to speak to them through that medium, calling them to leave their home country in search of a newborn king. It lets us know if it seems strange for God to speak through a forbidden practice. Consider also that God forbade witchcraft. Deuteronomy 18:10. As I said many times, God can do what he wants to do.
All right.
He can use what he wants to use. But he chose to communicate with King Saul in such a setting. 1 Samuel 28. This is what I like about him, Pastor. His ways are not ours. You see, clearly God consulted and ensured that Gentiles were included on the momentous occasion of today's text. He was involved in this occasion. It says the wise men seemed aware of Scripture that spoke of a coming king. They may have been sent by their own king to worship and pay the respect typical of royal birth. Because this was a royal event, they went first to Jerusalem, the political and religious center of Judea. Verse 3, which is not in our text this morning, indicates that Herod was deeply suspicious of the wise men. He was suspicious. In other words, he was fearful. Verse 7 and 8, seeking the king, led by men. It says here, then Herod, when he had privily called the wise men, inquired of them diligently what time the star appeared. You see in Matthew 2:4-6, which is not in our lesson, Herod's own religious experts advised him that the Messiah would be born in Bethlehem, about 6 miles south of Jerusalem. Herod's inquiry into the timing of the star appearance foreshadowed his interruption to quell this threat. In other words, Herod wanted to get rid of this coming. He looked at it as a threat to his power. To his power. Verse 8 says, and he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search diligently for the young child. And when ye have found him, bring me word again, that I may come and worship him. We all know that wasn't his intent.
Right.
We all know that he was being deceitful. You see, based on information that his own experts had provided, Herod sent the wise men to Bethlehem in hopes that they would locate a potential political rival. As I said before, he spoke deceitfully when he claimed that he too wanted to worship this young child. Matthew 2:13. Yes, sir.
Can we just imagine for a minute that Herod, he knew the Bible too, and that he knew that what they had done to the Israelites, how they made them slaves and did stuff to them, and they was concerned that the new king of the Jews was coming, and there was going to be a problem for him. I know people like to talk about it. Let's talk about the political realm. When you don't want to move, you get cunning. And that's what we deal with. That's what we're dealing with right now. We're dealing with a conning White House, to deal with the conning presidential White House. And that means that they would do anything not to get out of power. Anything not to get out of power. And that's basically what we're dealing with right now.
You right.
We're dealing with whatever they can find to not get out of power. Because see, whether we believe it or not, men like glory. And he been the first president we ever had that ever tweeted and, said things that, that you don't say, that you don't do, fire people on the spot because they don't do what you tell them to do. We never had a president that did this openly.
This guy,
This
this guy is a modern day Herod. Oh, I mean, as you said, he wants to hold on in spite of everything that says no. A modern day Herod. So, where we at now? You can tie it in. Biblically, prophecy, you can tie it in. Never seen nothing like it. I've seen a lot of things, but never seen nothing like where we are right now. Never seen it. Never even thought we would see it. Not in this country.
how close it is today, how close it is. From what's going on.
Verse 9 and 10, led by God. It says, when they had heard the king, they departed, and lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was. You see, the reference of the star going before the wise men has generated considerable discussion. Because Bethlehem was essentially a suburb of Jerusalem, it would seem unnecessary for the star to guide them there. Yet the wise men were clearly not from the area and would need guidance to find the young child, especially at night. You see, the image of the star remaining over the place that Jesus was recalled, Pastor, by the pillar of cloud and the fire that guided the Israelites. Exodus 13 and 21. He used a pillar of cloud to help his people. Yes, sir. To guide a pillar of cloud. Fire by night. So they wouldn't go wrong. That's what he did here with these wise men, with the star. That's amazing how he take care of his own. Verse 10 says, when they saw the star, they rejoiced. They rejoiced with exceedingly great joy. You see, the wise men doubtlessly rejoiced because their confusion had been resolved. In other words, Pastor, once they saw the star, it confirmed everything that they were suspicious of, was weary of. You know, like sometimes we be confused about certain things, then there's a revelation or something that's revealed to us that reassures us that we're on the right road, or that's what the star did for these wise men. It illuminated to them, literally, what they were looking for.
Confirmation.
Confirmation, that's it. That's it, Pastor. You see, they had not seen the star for some time. Now its reappearance, framed by reference to the prophecy of the sacred scriptures, was clearly a direct sign from God. The long journey was reaching its goal. I'm sure it was a joyful time for them. Sure it was. Verse 11. The joy of discovery. It says here in 11, and when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented unto him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. You see, the worship offered by the wise men does not mean they fully understood Jesus' identity. In fact, almost no one seemed to grasp Jesus' identity fully until after his resurrection. We all know that story, Pastor. They didn't know who he was. They didn't identify him. Because on one occasion, Jesus asked them, who am I? They all had different identities. Only Peter was the one that truly knew who he was. Truly knew. You see, the gifts offered were consistent with the mission of the wise men to honor a newborn king. You know, gold, we know, was precious. Frankincense and myrrh were rare and expensive items imported from southern Arabia and what today is known as Summerland. Matthew surely sees the action of the wise men as fulfillment of prophecies such as Isaiah 60, 1 through 9. You know, Isaiah had already prophesied this. Verse 12, they returned home. 12 says, and being warned of God in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed into their own country another way. You see, God continued to communicate with the wise men in a very familiar to them, in a way familiar to them. As a result, they departed the country secretly rather than reporting Jesus' identity and location to Herod. You see, Herod was likely made aware that Micah 5 predicted that the Messiah from Bethlehem would destroy oppressors and their pagan religious customs. To Herod, this could only mean a challenge to his own pro-Roman policies. He was concerned about his policy, his power. His power. See, it was all about him. It was all about him. Verse 13, fleeing to a strange land. Here's the warning. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou until I bring thee word. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. The angel of the Lord had earlier appeared to Joseph in a dream. We've all studied that before. You know, the first time the angel appeared to Joseph was in a dream of Mary's pregnancy. This time the angel warned Joseph of the looming consequences of the wise men informing Herod about a new king. This is what kind of sums it up. You see, Herod is often portrayed as attempting to fight against God himself. It asks the question, Pastor, how could any human being hope to stop the divine plan by killing the Christ whom God had sent? That was the struggle. That was what Herod, Pilate, they were going against God's own plan to kill the Christ whom God has sent. You got to be careful. You go against God, you ain't going to win. You can't win. You see, his failure to see the hand of God in the situation stands at a timeless lesson on the need to be mindful of God's movement at all times. I said to somebody as I was studying this, our problem is we're not mindful of God's movement at all times. Right now, during this pandemic, doing what we're going through now, God's hand is there somewhere. We're just not being mindful. We're ignoring him. That's just a fact. His hand is there. It's all about us. That's why we get in trouble. You see here, 14 and 15. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled which is spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, out of Egypt have I called my son. Out of Egypt have I called my son. Hosea 11:1 says this, when Israel was a child, then I loved him and called my son out of Egypt. Pastor, this was already forewarned.
Right.
I loved him and called my son out of Egypt. Nothing happens in our word without prophecy being already forewarned. 11:1 says it right there. Call my son out of Egypt. You see, Matthew 2:18 connects the massacre of the infants to Jeremiah 31:15. And the otherwise unknown prophets explain why Jesus grew up in Nazareth. Matthew 2:21. He talks about in that passage, use the word Nazarene. Use the word Nazarene. Jesus was a Nazarene.
Anything good come out of that?
That's right. That's right. In conclusion, Matthew's account foreshadows a deeper tragedy of Christ's ministry. Those who should have been more prepared to accept him did not. John 1:11. You know what that says, Pastor? It says, he came unto his own, and his own received him not. That's the predicament. They should have known better. Came into his own received him not. It goes on to say, this story is filled with the unexpected. No one expected pagan wise men to appear at Herod's palace for congratulations on the birth of a royal child, especially since no such child had been born in Jerusalem. The wise men certainly did not expect to find the king of the Jews in a peasant house outside the capital. Jews did not expect the Christ to be born into danger so that his parents would need to flee to Egypt to protect him. Most significantly, one would assume that the chief priest and appointed king of Judea would welcome the newborn Messiah. That's why, Pastor, his birth, how he came into this world, is so important for us during this time to contemplate on the real reason for the season. It's just not a happenstance. It was foreshadowed and forewarned by God himself.
Can I share something with you?
Go ahead, bro.
I think you know, the biggest thing right now is that, you know, we got the pastors and the deacons and the mothers that know about Christ, and I think we tell each other about, you know, what we know about it, but it's personal. You know, I always got that it's personal, you gotta have a personal relationship. So when I was reading my lesson, I found something that was very interesting, and it's personal. Real quick, the famed ancient Greek philosopher Plato was mentored by Socrates. Plato thought Socrates was the wisest person of his time, and he passionately desired to learn all of Socrates' wisdom. One day, Socrates and Plato was walking in conversation. As they walked, they talked. They continued until they reached the beach. As they were great intellectuals involved in deep conversation, they kept talking and walking along the beach. Then suddenly, Socrates said to Plato, "Walk into the ocean with me." They turned and walked into the water together. The water started out around their ankles, then rose up to their knees. And as they kept walking, the water rose to about shoulder height. All of a sudden, Socrates grabbed Plato's head and pushed him down under the water. In great panic and running out of air, Plato kicked, pushed, fought to break free. As soon as he caught his breath, thinking his teacher was trying to drown him, he yelled, "Why did you do that?" History recalls Socrates' response as being, "When you desire knowledge, like you desire that breath of air, then you should have it." That's it. We have to desire the knowledge
That's right.
of knowing what Christ is about.
That's right.
What he do, where his love is.
Mhm.
His love is unconditional. We have to desire that knowledge
Have
to
to
know.
desire. That's the word.
We want to talk about people when we say, hey, you know, don't do me wrong. But in order not to do somebody wrong, you got to know God's love. You know, you got to know that it's unconditional. That is the same way a Christian must grow to show, to grow to the desire of God. We have to want God, chase and pursue God, like our next breath depends on it. I mean, I thought that was just interesting.
Yeah.
We following somebody. If they lead us somewhere and you think they're drowning, but they're trying to teach you something.
In other words, Mr. Perry, you got to have a zeal for him, Pastor. A zeal. I think Paul talked about a zeal. You got to have a desire. Desire. And as you read about Plato, I can't quite pronounce it. Yeah, that's it. Dr. King talked about it in some of his most powerful sermons. Plato and Socrates.
Okay.
Oh, he talks about it. Man, it's so powerful. So powerful. You know, Dr. King, you know, he studied it and the Lord revealed. He talked about that during his modern time ministry. Great ministry.
And I understand that, you know, one point in time, and some of us now, you know, we still can't, you know, I know I ain't the best reader there is, but it don't stop me from learning. You know, if I have a desire to know God's will, he will teach me and show me how to learn his word.
He tells us to ask, to seek. He gives us that. The problem is we don't want it. We don't want it.
We go back and look at this thing real deep, the promise that he made back in Genesis, he fulfilled, the fulfillment is coming through right here.
Yes.
Out of Egypt I called my son. That is so deep right there. It's a place where God's people, Egypt was a place where God's people was under bondage, and he brought them out. But yet it was a place of refuge for little baby Jesus. And then he said it was out of Egypt I called my son. And God put him, and then what does that to say? What does that mean to us? God can use anybody, any place, anything.
That's right.
To his benefit. And he's showing you, and then what he's showing too, you haven't created any kind of soil that I haven't gone through myself. God's people was in Egypt, and he also created that same ground.
That's right.
in Egypt. And so what we do, we serve a God that knows all about our infirmities, know all about what we go through. Why? Because he treaded those same steps along the way. He knows how we feel. He knows. So we get into what about this little baby? He is. He leads the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. Yeah.
That's right. You know, the world at large, you know, and I'm not being judgmental, not being nothing like that. The world at large, during this holiday season, they missing all of that. They concerned about shopping, ordering. They missed the whole concept. They missing that. They can give you a little bit, but what we just talked about now, that's the whole significance of it. Finally, Matthew's account thus demonstrates the need to remain open to the unexpected. It encourages us to watch for God in action, even when, especially when he acts through people we might not anticipate. That's what Pastor Prill was saying. We still need eyes to see and ears to hear. Matthew 13, 16 through 7 talks about that. That's the desire, Mr. Parrish. We got eyes to see. We got ears to hear, but we don't do it. We hear the wrong thing. We see the wrong thing, but we don't want to see and hear what we need to. And our final thought to remember. Those who faithfully seek Jesus find him. Those who faithfully seek Jesus find him. That concludes our Sunday school lesson. I hope you got a thought from it, and we thank you. We'll offer a motion. We hear our Sunday.
Amen. Amen. One more time. Amen. Amen. One more time. Amen. One for the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. One. And to give honor to my pastor, give me an opportunity to speak this morning.
That's right.
That the Lord used me this morning. Right. Gave me plenty of time, so I don't have no excuse why I didn't let the Lord use me. But I do thank him and pray that the Lord continue on to bless me and be everything that he needs.
You're right.
It's nothing like a good leader. A good prayer warrior. I got a friend of mine, he always called me and said, man, when I need somebody to pray with me, he said, I know I can count on you. So, we got a pastor that you can count on. You know that he's gonna lead us. I think that's what he did this morning. He led us in a prayer that's needed.
That's right.
We're in need of a healthy prayer. Thank you, Pastor. If you have your Bibles with you this morning, try to be not too long. Turn with me to Matthew 10, starting at the 34th verse. While y'all getting it together, one thing I learned is sometimes we don't like what we do, but we have to be obedient to the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
So the Holy Spirit already been convicting me already this morning. So I was born by the river.
All right.
In a little tent.
All right.
Oh, just like that river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change will come.
All right.
Oh, yes it will. Just had to share that.
All right.
Had to share that because a change is gonna come.
That's right. Say that.
Change is gonna come. If you have your Bibles, Matthew 10, try to be as quick as possible. Start the 31st verse, it says, the beginning says, not peace, but a sword. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth.
All right.
I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's foes shall be they of his own household. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me.
All right.
All right.
He that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loseth his life shall, for my sake, find it.
Fine. That's right.
The word for today. Cut the cord.
All right. All right. Amen. Amen.
Cut the cord.
Amen.
The change gonna come, sooner or later. Grandma said, you keep it living, and you'll see.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
You're right, Doc.
You keep it living, and you will see. We need to prepare to see the King.
All
All
right.
right. That's all right now.
The King is coming. The King is coming. Matter of fact, he's already been here. I was talking to a couple of guys yesterday, and they live right down the street from the cemetery.
All right.
And I said, yeah, he's been here. Because we had a funeral yesterday. Matter of fact, he said 1-1 it was 2.
All right.
So he's back. He's coming back every day.
Amen.
He said he won't stop coming back into the last one.
All right.
To the last one now.
All right.
That's what it says.
That's came home.
All right.
Now this cutting the cord is more about us changing our ways, changing the way we think, changing the way we deal with our jobs, our children, our mothers, our fathers. Women, I think y'all are more familiar with, a lot of women are, with the biblical cord being cut. The doctors come in and they cut the biblical cord and separate you from the child. Well, in this case, it's more of separating yourself from your child spiritually. And when I say spiritually, I mean that you cannot prepare your child if your child thinks that you're going to always be there.
All right. All right.
You have to cut the cord.
All right.
You're right, son. You're right.
Jesus said, if you love your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, more than you love me,
That's what he said.
you're not worthy.
That's what he
All
said.
right. All right.
That's what he said.
And which man in here or woman in here do not want to be worthy in front of the king? Is there anybody here who don't want to be worthy when it's time to meet the king? So the only way we can do that is to cut the cord. We have to cut off our mothers, our fathers. We can still love them. We still want to love them. We still want to help them as much as we can. But we got to let them bump their head every once in a while. Even on the jobs, we have to bump our heads every once in a
All
while
right. All
to
right.
see what's going on. We can't always be there to catch them. We can't always be there to be caught. But we want to try to do everything that we can to try to help them. Now, I think the pastor, he read it today. I asked him to read that scripture on purpose because we fail to love according to God.
All right. All right.
We fail to love according to God. God love is that he said, who that I love, I chastise. So how can we say we love our children if we don't chastise them?
All right.
How can we go to our jobs and let people run over us and we don't correct them? You know, are we, let me back up. Cut the cord now, because see, this is, our jobs, we might have a job, but we didn't get it on our own. Nobody mean that, you got your job on your own. See, I didn't get my job on my own.
All right, all
I
right.
can just tell you about me right now. I didn't get mine on my own. The Lord blessed me to have it.
All right.
So when they come with trouble, I always tell them I ain't worried about it because you didn't give it to me, so you can't take it
All
from me.
right, say that, amen.
Now I can lose it, but you can't take it from me
That's
because
right.
God gave it to me.
Amen.
So again, if we cut the cord, if we let them know, hey, look here, I'm not worried about that. Because if you cut me off, guess what? You got something to be done.
All right, say that, amen, amen.
You just cut me off. The Lord didn't cut me off.
All right, all right.
I guess we getting there. we getting there. We getting there. In this cutting the cord part, I really love to talk to you about Ruth. Ruth and Opal and Naomi was 3 women who had 3 husbands, and all 3 of them died.
Say that.
All three of the husbands died.
Right.
So Naomi, being the woman that she was, she cut the cord right away. She said, I don't have a husband.
Say that, son.
She said, if I did have a husband, it would take too long. Y'all would be old before we had a son and y'all be able to marry.
All right, all right.
So she said, I tell you what you do. Go back home to your pagan ways.
All right.
And that was it.
All right.
I'm going to cut you loose. I'm going to cut the cord. Go. I could use some women around my house because I'm by myself.
All right.
Y'all by yourself. I could use you around here.
Yep.
But I'm going to cut the cord.
Yep.
Go on home. Go back home. I ain't got no for you. I can't hold you. And this is me holding you here. But Oprah said, look here. I'm going on back home. You know what she said?
All right.
I'm going on back home. I'm going back to my pagan ways.
All right.
But this is the difference of seeing the light. Ruth said,
No.
You're right.
I like your God.
All right. All right.
I like what your God do.
No.
See, no matter what has happened, your God still has been there for us. You see, this is what we have to understand. When we cut that cord, see, he did the same thing for us when our parents cut the cord on us.
All right, all right.
Let me tell you what the problem is. The problem is that we want to try to hold on, but we should be praying. We should be down here talking about, Lord, watch over why I can't watch over.
All right.
But instead, we up here talking about, oh, well, you better not do this, and you better not do that, and no. Let me tell you what I told my son. I said, son, you're too big for me to whoop you.
All right.
You're too big for me to whoop you. But I tell you one thing, you don't want the Lord to whoop you.
All right. Amen.
Say that.
You're right. You're right. You don't want the Lord to whoop you.
That's right.
I don't want the Lord to whoop me.
Amen, amen.
So our job is to get on our knees and pray and cut the cord.
All right, amen.
There's nothing wrong with cutting the cord. Abraham is another. I don't know if y'all ever noticed or not, but Abraham could not cut the cord when he came down the lot. The Lord told him to leave his country and take off and not turn back. He did, but he took Lot. Okay? He said, well, Lot, we got too much. You go on that side. Choose the side that you want to be on your side. That's okay. I'll take this side. You know? So when the Lord seen that what was going on in Sodom and Gomorrah, he said, I'm going to destroy this city.
All right.
He didn't have to cut Abraham. Do you know why he came to Abraham? He came to Abraham because Abraham loved Lot so much, the Lord knew his heart. Do y'all not think the Lord don't know y'all hearts about how y'all feel about y'all children, about y'all mother, about y'all father? He He know everything. He not miss a thing. He don't miss nothing.
All right.
Abraham said, he didn't even have to say it, but the Lord knew his heart. He said, Lord, if you can just find 50 righteous men in this city, would you not destroy? He knew when he started talking, he said, I know you're looking out for Lot.
Oh, yeah.
I know you want, I know. But I'm gonna let you keep on going. He just couldn't stop. If you find 30, if you can find 10, would you not destroy this city? And finally he got down to one. He said, Abraham, you're not going anywhere. But I'm gonna send my angels. And they're gonna go get Lot.
All right.
Now let me tell you something about Lot that we don't understand.
All right.
In Hebrew said that Lot was the only righteous man in that city.
All right.
The only righteous man in that city was Lot. So he would have saved the city. But he knew it came before it had to go. Now, this is the thing about Lot. Abraham loved it so much, he wouldn't cut him off, so the Lord cut him off of it. He cut him off completely. If you read your Bible, after Lot left Sodom and Gomorrah and his daughters did their little things and him having a baby, you never heard anything else about Lot until Hebrews. Now, guess who came on the scene? Isaac. He promised Isaac that this was going to happen. But you have to see that if you don't cut the cord, I'm not done with y'all. If you don't cut the cord, he will cut the cord for you. Now let me tell you why I know he'll cut the cord for you. 1 Samuel. There's a guy called Eli.
All right.
Eli had 2 sons. Hophni and Phinehas. They were bad sons. They stole from the children of Israel. They did bad things. The Lord told Eli, you need to do something about your, he said a priest and told the person, you need to do something about your sons. And Eli ignored him. He ignored him. Let me tell you how, this is where, we don't understand, but this is where we need to understand. This is why it's so important to get the word. Since he was disobedient to the Lord sent the priest back to him and told him again, your sons are going to die, and you're going to die too.
All right.
And this is during the time where the ark, God's ark, the one that every time they had a war, if they seen the ark, the people died. They were scared just because they seen the ark. They knew it was the ark of God. They were scared. But this time it didn't work. So Eli called and said, what's going on? Why's the city crying? Well, because 20,000, 30,000 men have died. Has been slaughtered. He said, I got away. He said, well, where's my sons? Oh, they dead too.
All right.
You see, by that time, he was kind of blind. His eyes had got dim. It said he was heavy. He picked up some weight.
All right.
And he was sitting on the wall. And when they told him, guess what happened? He fell off the wall and broke his neck. And he died. Cut the cord of the Lord will. Cut the cord or he will. We got Sarah. We got Abraham. We got Eli. And I got to tell you a little bit about me. About me cutting the cord. Because this is the thing right here. It's not just for the listeners. It's also for the speaker.
All right.
See, I love grandmama and mama so much I thought that they could fix my relationship. They can give me some guidance on what was going on at home and what I need to do. Well, I didn't realize that I was bringing strife between me and my wife every time we have a conversation about them. And so when I would call grandmamas and mom, and they'd be like, what's wrong with you? And I would say nothing. They said, boy, don't lie to me. Something wrong with you. And I said, no, everything good. So, you know, the Lord, by that time, started working in my life, so I started realizing that you can't talk. If you got an issue, it's best for you to keep it to yourself. Just talk to the Lord about it. Because when you talk to other people, then they start talking about it, and then they got to go around this way and that way, and it's got to go all the way around and go. But when they put it down, then I'll pick it up.
All right.
But if you're going to let them do it, then I'm going to get out the way and let them do it. Well, that's what I had did. I did that. And so I had to learn to keep my mouth shut.
All right.
I had to learn to cut the cord.
Amen.
You know, I was something going on, now ain't nothing going on. You know, I had to change my attitude. I had to change the way I was talking. I had to cut them off. As I learned to cut them off, then I started realizing my failure. How I failed. You know, I couldn't do it my way. My way was not working. But I know a way that was working. Turn it over to Jesus.
All right. Amen.
And that's what I'm telling you today. Cut the cord.
All right.
Cut the cord. He heard my cry.
All right.
He'll hear your cry.
Amen.
He heard Abraham's cry. He'll hear your cry. He heard Ruth's cry. He'll hear your cry.
Amen.
He already knows. He knows before you ask. He just tells us to pray. We had praying grandmothers and praying grandfathers, because if we didn't, we wouldn't be where we at.
All right.
Can you think about the people in this world who ain't had nobody to pray for them? That might be the reason they're ashamed that they didn't.
All right.
He said he chose us before we even got here.
All right.
That's right.
He knew where we was going to be at.
Do it.
I didn't know. I didn't know where I was going to be at. But I do know one.
All right.
That one Friday, one Friday when I was thinking something terrible about my life, he stepped in.
All right.
I didn't understand then, but I understand now. He said, son, if this pain ain't going to change when you get over to the other side. You're going to have to endure it. And that's what this is about. He said, you got to carry your own cross.
All right.
You can't carry it for me, Sister Brenda. I know you try to help me, but you can't carry it.
All right.
Wife, you can't carry it.
All right.
Dick, you can't carry it.
Jesus.
I got to carry my own cross.
That's right.
And if I endure it, because he said the race is not given to the strong,
All right.
but the one that endured to the end.
That's right.
If I endure to the end,
That's right.
my Jesus will accept me. He said, if you deny me before me, I will deny you before my Father. He said that if you praise me, then I will praise you before my Father. And he has. Because if he hadn't, then again, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be sitting here. I got to tell y'all this right here too. I thank the Lord for this suit. I thank her for it because of two reasons. My wife, she picked the suit.
All right.
In the suits that I had at home, I've been talking about so bad that I need to get out of them, that I couldn't wear them no more. And I love those suits. And I remember my pastor always said that don't never give away something that you don't want.
All right.
You ain't doing nothing. Give away something that you do want.
All right.
And I'm finna tell you, I got 4 suits at home that I cannot wear, and I don't want to give away. But Grandma already told me, she said, boy, get them suits down to the Salvation Army. We got to do what's right.
All right.
We got to do what's right. We have to move our selfish ways out the way. Last but not least, I hope y'all get this because it's very important. There was this husband and wife that went to the doctor. The husband's supposed to be sick. And when he got into the, the doctor got him in, he checked him out. He said, well, okay, I'm gonna let you go out and send the wife in. So the wife came in, and he said, I got some good news, and I got some bad news.
All right.
She said, well, what's the good news? He said, well, nothing's wrong with your husband. He's fine, he's healthy. She said, well, what's the bad news? If you don't love him, he's gonna die.
All right.
If you don't love him, he's gonna die. So the wife went on, got out to the car, they said we tried to ready to leave. And the husband said, what the doctor say? He said, you gonna die. Cut the cord.
All right.
Cut the selfishness.
All right.
She could have did anything else, but she didn't have to do that. You have to stop being so selfish. You have to cut the cord. This is not about us. I think about my grandmother right now. The same thing. We have to cut the cord. She had lived a nice life.
Amen.
97 years old, able to still get around when she can. If she's tired, let her go home. Don't be trying to resuscitate her. Don't be trying to put her in a situation that she don't want to be in. That's God's child. We all are God's children. When He get ready for us to come home, ain't nothing you can do.
That's right.
But I tell you what, if you cut the cord and get right with Jesus,
That's
the
right.
one that died on the cross for us, the one that stretched out wide, the one that beat, he ain't do nothing. He never said a mumbling word at him. That guy right there.
All right. All right.
The one that didn't mind laying down his life for us.
All right.
Huh? The one that got put in a borrowed tomb.
That's right.
But he didn't need it long. Stayed in the grave 3 days.
All right.
3 days. All Friday, Saturday. But early. Sunday morning.
All right.
He got up with all power.
That's right.
All right.
He's still getting up.
All right.
He's getting us up. If you don't believe it, ask the rich man. Ask Lazarus. He don't lie. He said, my word will not come back void. If you cry, well, he said, then cry loud.
All right. Jesus.
He'll hear you call. He will answer. He will answer you in prayer. You pray, and he'll take care of you. Prayers go up. Prayers come down.
All right.
Just that simple.
Yeah.
Just that simple. He's been watching us all this time about when he stopped. When you turn your back on him, you're in trouble. He said, don't grab a hold and let go.
All right.
I said it again. Cut the cord.
Amen.
If you love your people, cut the cord. I want to see them on the other side. I want to make it to the other side to see
All
them.
right. Jesus.
It might be somebody in here today. They're ready to cut the cord. Ready to cut the cord from the world. The world ain't got nothing to offer you. You don't care about what happened to you. I'm telling you, the politicians, they got a cartel to fix them when something happened to them. But when something happened to you, they don't care. But I tell you somebody who do care. Jesus cares, he loves you. He's asking us. Would be no excuse why we didn't make it in. He's asking us to come. Come while the blood is still running warm through your veins. Confess that you believe that he died for your sins. He died for your sins. For my sins. He loved you. It's okay if you made a mistake. He still loves you. It's okay if you can't make a decision. He'll help you to make a decision. Just cry to him. Cry loud. You need him right now. You know we got 3 ways by coming. You have your letter in order from an associate church. St. Bethel will take you in. Would you come? You know that if you went out and See, every time you look up, you got the bird moving on the car. I said, shoot, you need to change your ways. He said, come on back home. Come on back home, you'll fix all that. You wake up one morning, it won't be on there anymore. Would you come? The best way of all, if you've never been baptized, you made a decision that you want the Lord to be the head of your life. Would you come? His hands, arms open wide, asking you to come to him. Would you come? You know the church doors will always be open. If you change your mind and you see that you want to make a decision and you want to be part of St. Bethel, just let any officer know or member, and we'll get with the pastor and we'll get you in and we'll get you where God wants you to be. Our job is to lead you to Christ. We don't have a devil in hell to put you in. But we can lead you to the one that do. And you can make a choice. God bless you. God bless you. God keep you. Thank you. And I hope you got something from the message. I pray I didn't hold you too long.
Amen.
Amen. God bless you, Dr. King. Word. God bless you. Bless you. Oh, what a word, what a word, what a word.